Okay, what's going on, guys? We got a new tactics video today. This is actually the Bundesliga grand final winner, Levifinn, I believe that's how you say his name. It's a 4-4-1-1, balance, 70 depth. But what's very interesting is, if you remember, like some time ago, I think it was actually a few weeks ago now, I talked about the 4-2-1-3, and I was experimenting with using one player on a winger. And the reason why I liked it is because in possession, you have a player kind of join the attack if you want to, but you have that wide outlet. That could be a player that maybe you do a through ball to. Everyone now has got the play styles like an L1 triangle. And then you have the inside four on the right hand side. So you still got that 4-4-1-1 layout. You just have one the wingers wider. So I'm going to show you some gameplay now. Go into it, show you how it moves. Everything else is very basic. We've got the build-up style and balance, which is quite interesting. We're probably going to be changing it. I'll explain that in a second. Advance forward, shadow striker that stays forward. So you're defending in a 4-4-1-1 and you're attacking in a 4-4-1-1 with just one wing a bit more wider. And of course, you don't have any CDMs. You just have center mids. There's something to just bear in mind. Okay, so we're going to go through a gameplay example. So of course, naturally, don't forget you are playing like that 4-4-1-1. But you can see, look, have a look at the build-up play initially. Do you see, for example, Sun? Have a look at where Sun is. So initially start, you can see Sun is a bit more different, but it's not, don't forget, this is just a build-up play. So don't forget, when you're in your first initial third, that is when I suppose you can say your team are still going to be as wide as possible. But it's when you get into that final third. So when you're around this area with the ball with Sun, the left mid who's on the winger, you can see it's not really anything different. You see that? But you can see, same with it on the opposite side, see the inside forward? You can see tucks in a little bit, but once you trigger that run, then look, then they're going to be a bit more. That's a normal natural. So we're going to let Ranieri go back into position again. And you see Ranieri there? So he's still playing, but look at Sun on the opposite side. Look at Sun. So you see Sun is acting like that winger. But why this is actually important is, look, when you're redistributing the ball, do you see how Sun stays wide? He doesn't pick up the space in between. You see he's basically hanging wide. And that is why that box-to-box is important, because that box-to-box player can basically go in between the gaps. So that is why you ideally want someone who's got a plus-plus, because yes, you could technically force someone basically. See like that? See that? How Talissev's going into that gap. So you see Sun is keeping the left back occupied. You see? Sun is keeping the left back occupied. So he's high and wide. And that's what ultimately will create space into the middle. So do you see how this formation works with the half winger? I was going to say with the winger. It's kind of similar to how the half winger plays in my 4-2-2. We talked about that before. But you can see that's Talisso going into the gap. And that's why that center mid on the box-to-box or playstyle plus. You can even use them on a playmaker. But I think that movement is like, we'll do the same thing again, right? So let's say we're building up. We're going to do a quick 1-2 with Sun. And you can see now Sun as wide as possible, right? So you can see, look at that. See how wide he is? Even when I'm going forward, look, he's staying wide. He's not pushing internally. So that is good. So if you're like, let's say you're the kind of player, and let's say you like to cross the ball, for example, that could be an example of where you could use winger. But it gives you the two different options. That's the key now. Defensively, this is where most of you would struggle. And this is because there's no CDMs. You're almost left to your own devices defensively. It's up to you to defend, and it's your job to defend. And if you wanted to, let's say, attack normally, you go on the opposite side, let's say with Ranieri. And of course, you can always use a player lock to make that player going wider. You don't need to, but look. And it's one of the key benefits. So you see Sun is keeping that left back wide. So watch Sun there, right? So if you do that 1-2, all you got to do is just time it to perfection like that. So just a bit of a mistiming there. Just did a quick switcheroo now. Okay, so just did a quick switcheroo now. We switch it to the right-hand side. So now the right winger has the winger playstyle, right? But this time they've got the playstyle plus pluses. So we've got a winger plus plus, and then we've got Bick. Now, do you see how Bick made that movement in between the half space? Playstyle plus pluses. So we've got a winger plus plus, and then we've got Bick. Now, do you see how Bick made that movement in between the half space? Just what I mean. Look, so you see we've got the winger there. Now this player, see, doesn't really want to go inwards. You see that? Sometimes, of course, there's space available to take advantage of it, but you can see staying at high and wide. Now, this is Bick, okay? So now have a look at Bick, okay? So just watch him. I'm not going to trigger him, and this is why balance can be a bit problematic, but see how he's moving forward in between the half space? So you want that player to exploit that area. So I wanted to show you this again, but what I've done now is I put, as you can see, Bick as a box-to-box, and then we got the Lino as a wing as a plus. Doesn't have to be plus plus. If you can, try to get plus plus, but we just put them on plus. I just want to show you something as well. And what we're going to do, we're going to still leave this on the build-up play being on balanced. Now, what I want to show you here is if we have a look at Bick, right? So you can see Bick is playing that left CDM role just below, and he said, I've got the ball with Lino. Now, this is why I'm saying you kind of want the box to box. Now, have a look, just watch his late arrival inside the box, right? So when you want that box to box player, you can see they make that movement. So when you're using your left mid on a winger, so let's say you're attacking down the right hand side, let's just say hypothetically speaking, you could just attack down normally, how you would like an inside forward. You can, for example, do your 1-2s, and then maybe you can build up. But when you're going on the opposite side, for example, like here, this one you want to make use. So let's say you're rotating a ball, and let's say you're going down the right hand side, and then you can see there's a space in between. Okay, now that is where balanced, I would say, is a bit problematic. They still make those runs, but they don't make it as frequent. So you can see, look here, that's Bick, and you can see, look, that's Bick making a run in between the half space. And see, with balanced, it kind of relies on you to trigger the play. They don't really make that movement that you want to on their own devices. Don't forget, Bick has 99 attack positioning and the roll plus, but he doesn't seem to always fluidly go into that role. And what I mean is when he's making those runs going forward, he's going, but not as frequent. And that's why I'd recommend using the build-up style on counter. Now, this will help you when you win the ball back, so they make those runs. So less of more of AI movement, but less of your responsibility to use the L1 button. But of course, if you're a pro player, it's a bit different. You'll be using the L1 button all the time. So you can see, like here, we've got the ball back. Do you see how Bick is already making that run for me? Do you see he's already in that advanced position? And do you see, like here, he will sit back a little bit low. But when I bring the ball, I'm not going to do a 1-2 with him, but it's just going to be a regular pass, right? But look, if I try, you can see, look, he's still going to hold that position, but look, he's going to go forward. You see that in between? And he goes in between the half space. See that? Look, see his movement? He's moving on his own. So that is why I'm trying to say it's better to use counterattacks when you win the ball back. That initial build up, you're going to get that movement is what I'm trying to say, really. And you see, look, the benefit of, you can see, look on the top side. You see that player, because he's staying high and wide, if I was to trigger Bick in between the half space, it's all about timing. Okay, yeah, to be honest, that was bad defending. But do you see how the timing is where I can play the through ball in between? Now, when we put it back to balance, I just want to show you one thing. The way you should be playing this formation is using the L1 trigger to make that player go into that space. So you see, for example, this space right over there, that's kind of what you want. I just want to do this deliberately against this opponent just to show you. So you want to create that space, and that's why that L1 button is going to be so important. Your left mid is already pinning your opponent's right back out wide. So you just got to make use of the space in between, and then you have the shadow strike at the same time to do that as well. So for example, if I'm attacking over here, I've got a 1-2. Don't forget, on the initial build-up, it's quite slow. I'll show you an example as well. So like here, you want Bick to go in between this space. Sometimes he might sit back like this. You got to force him in between. And even if you don't pass the ball to him, he's going to create space for other players in your team. Now you can see our initial build-up is quite slow. You've only got one striker, so you have to be a bit patient in the build-up play. Wait for those players to make runs. Equally, when you lose the ball, don't forget you're going to be having no CDMs. You're going to be left to your own devices, as I mentioned. So when you're building up, you have to be patient. This is not a pure... If you want a counter-attack formation, you want left wings and right wings into your team. You don't want left mids and right mids. So make sure you're patient in the build-up play. Okay, so I wanted to show you, as I said, just a bit of the movement, how it works. And I really wanted to show you this box-to-box, this piercing movement that I think it takes a bit of time. As I showed you initially on the build-up play, when you win the ball backwards, it does take some time. And that is why, if you're asking me, the 70 depth is fine. It's the one that I use the most. The only thing I'm not really favorable here is the balanced approach. I'd recommend a counter approach. That's why I showed you some gameplay examples where when you win the ball back, it's quite slow for your team to build up. In that last segment, in the latter of the clips, it was unbalanced, as I mentioned. So I would recommend change the count. That way you got that quicker movements. When you win the ball back, you're transitioning at a faster rate. That's all I would say. I think, look, if you want to use balance, then that's fine. But you have to be one of those players that's quite slow, quite systematic. You're being very, very versatile in your movement, but you're being very slow, diligent. You're not rushing forward. I think a lot of people are not playing like that. If you do, by all means, go ahead. But otherwise, I would recommend counter. Now, I actually like this winger. I think with the box-to-box, you have that movement, but you have to wait for the movement. That's what I'd recommend. I've got here Bick. He's got a 99 attack awareness, and he's got a box-to-box playstyle plus. And even then, he doesn't make the movements on his own. You kind of need to force it yourself. If there was like maybe another focus for box-to-boxes, maybe they become a bit more attacking or they're a bit more attack heavy. That would have been more interesting. But because we don't have that, you're basically relying on passive progressive play. So what I would say is this is a formation for those that maybe you don't just like to use an inside forward, but you also like a wide outlet. Maybe you cross the ball a lot inside, back inside the box. Then this would be a formation for you. I would say that box to box is going to take time. If you're going to use this tactic and go into a game thinking that player is going to move every single time, they're not. A lot of L1 triggers and supplements and 1-2s are needed in the system, but they will still move forward. I think it's a very good attacking formation. It's like another version of 4-4-1-1. Yes, it has its defensive side as well. I think overall, I think this is more of a high level pro formation when you're a bit more slow and progressive in your play. When you lose the ball, you don't mind defending without CDMs. And when you win the ball back, you're not going for those counter attacks. That's where I think this formation really prospers. I think you need to make a lot of use of your fullbacks in doing those 1-2s. So I think it's a good formation, but I do think this one, there's few formations that it requires not only the personnel, but the playing ability. It's not like a 4-2-1-3 where I can, in theory, chuck it to any player and say, use it, and then they will do well. This formation is a bit different. It'll take you some time, maybe 5-10 games to learn this, but I definitely would say give it a go if you are that kind of player. Thanks for watching. Take it easy. Catch you next time. Don't forget, running a better FC. Come to my Patreon, patreon.com/no guides. Links down below in the description. Or you can just click somewhere over here on the top right. Should be on opposite side there. Peace out.